All right, got it. Okay, welcome everybody to the Chosewood Park Neighborhood Association meeting for March 2023. We have not a whole lot on our agenda tonight, which is good. The meeting will be operated under Robert's Rules of Order. We do not have any voting matters, but for voting purposes, you must be in order to be a voting member for Chosewood Park, you must be at least 18 years old, have a residency or live in Chosewood Park, or have a business located within Chosewood Park and attended at least 3 meetings within the last 12 months. So if you could, Mr. Connor, please put up the agenda for February. This was our February agenda. If there are any objections to these minutes, please raise your hand now. All right, as I see I have no objections to the minutes, I can say that this would be approved through unanimous consent. All right, we will go on to our March meeting minutes. And we have one change at the bottom. As far as the APS, our closing statements, announcements and committee or community concerns, the APS rezoning and redistricting. So that will be there for an add-on for number 9. So are there any objections for tonight's meeting minutes? All right. I see no hands raised, so this will be a unanimous consent as well. So we will go ahead and get into the agenda for tonight. So first would be our public safety officer. As I don't think we have anybody here tonight, so like Connor and Nicole mentioned, we can go ahead and reach out to Major Richter and see if we can start getting somebody here on a regular basis for that. If you do want a very detailed update, please join the MPUY meeting next Monday at the same time. Nicole, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I can just give a quick update from our MPU meetings is that crime rate's actually down in total, especially when it's a grievous crime. There's still petty crimes such as car thefts and vandalism that's happening, but in a whole crime rate in all of MPU, it has gone down.
Yeah, and I know in Lakewood there was a big change with the change in ownership at the Chevron going to the Amoco. That made a big difference there as well. Okay, we will move on to any comments from our elected officials. If there's any elected officials on tonight, usually Miss Bennett is here, but I don't believe she is this evening. If we do have any elected officials, please put your information in the chat. And we will come back to that if anyone logs in. For our treasurer report, our treasurer is tied up in traffic this evening and is not available. So I do believe she has sent over our report. There it is. I believe, Nicole, you would probably have a better idea on this as far as being part of the CDC there. Do you want to chime in? Was there any changes, any checks going in and out?
We had some donations, which we just transferred into the account, which is at $185 in. At this time, we have not made any checks out. There is one check that for reimbursement from the LACFC grant, but it does not show on this report. It'll be for next month.
All right.
So I do want to thank all those that have donated to CDC and CPNA, as they are one account.
All right, are there any questions for the benefit of the body regarding the treasurer report?
$6.40 on the year. That's pretty good.
All right, we'll take those dividends.
Yeah. Going to Patria, get some cheese dip. Do it.
Close to at least a beer at beer garden up there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So if there's no questions, then we will move on to our next agenda item, which is our committee reports. I see that Taryn is here. Welcome, Taryn. We'll do Friends of Chosewood Park first, and I believe she was asking to be able to share the screen there, Connor.
Oh, yes, absolutely. 1 second.
Taryn, you have the floor.
Let me 1 second here.
Awesome. Sharing my screen. Oh, looks like I've been able to do it. Thank you, Connor.
Perfect. Yep.
All right. Let's see, here we go. Okay, so our upcoming events for Friends of Chosewood Park are our cleanup, which is taking place next Sunday, March 19th at 2 p.m. What this cleanup is going to be focused on is just a general glow up of the park. We've kind of divided the park into different zones, and we're going to focus on the tennis court area, leaf blowing, power washing the court, cleaning the signs that have a lot of kind of just pollen and tree debris on them. We're going to focus on the landscaping staircase in the baseball area, leaf blowing, picking up trash, doing some kudzu control, and a little bit on the trails. And then there's been some dumping on around the Galt Street side again. So we're going to try to have a crew out there to clean up trash. So, and the last thing we're going to do is power wash the tennis court wall and hopefully sand that down because we have some exciting updates about a future mural there, which I'll get to. On Saturday, April 15th at 9:30 a.m., we'll have our next public meeting. So if there's any thoughts and concerns you have about the park, that would be a good time to join us. Our link to our meeting is at focwp.org/events. And maybe if Shayna's on, she could drop that link in the chat. Otherwise, I'll do it when I'm done. So Earth Day cleanup, I'm not sure. Friends of Chosewood Park is not going to be able to organize that because I'm busy that day. So maybe Nicole or Jacob can pipe in. I'm not sure if that's actually happening. So I just wanted to clarify and take it off our events. If not,
I would be fine to take that. I believe Nicole is going to be out of town.
Yes. So I wasn't sure if
it's Earth Day, so I would be more than happy to do something on Earth Day while Nicole's on vacation.
Even if it's just, like a trash pickup around the neighborhood, I think that'd be great. And I'm happy to help create the flyer and
I think that would be a great idea. I would love to use the trailer and maybe pick up some of the curbside stuff.
Awesome.
Continues to sit out, and we haven't been able to get bulk pickup to pick it up and things like that. Just kind of cleaning up the streets. We'll do a street clean.
So we had said at 9:30 a.m. So I can make the flyer for you, Jacob, and then just have it be kind of an informal meetup and do some trash pickup. And I can happy to order tools too. But
yeah, I mean, I don't know what else. I've got a plethora of stuff, so it depends, I guess, on how many people respond to if they're coming out to help. If we would need to go to the tool bank.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So then on Saturday, April 29th from 8 to 10 a.m., we're doing a bird walk with Joshua Jackson, who runs the account ATL Birds and takes some great wildlife photography. If you're interested in coming, just wear sturdy shoes and bring your binoculars, and we're meeting at the park parking lot. And then on Sunday, May 7th at 5 p.m., we're going to do my favorite event of the year, which is Beat the Somm wine tasting with Sommify. And Connor and Jessica actually host this every year. This is our 3rd annual fundraiser, and it is super fun. We are also accepting sponsors, and then we're trying to get our tickets for sale. So as far as the sponsors are concerned, that's all set. We have a sponsorship packet that we'd like to share. It's on our website. It's focwp.org/sponsors. Any funds that we raise at this are going to go towards things like our mural that we're working on. We are going to work on more trail building. And of course, we're always raising money for the East Side Park entrance that eventually we're going to put that money towards, as well as we're working on a playground right now. And we're also trying to replace more of these benches and picnic tables that are dilapidated. So those are just some examples of things that we are raising money for. Oh, and for a contract with Trees Atlanta to remove kudzu as well. So the sponsorship tiers are a bronze sponsor for $100, silver for $250, gold for $600, and platinum for $1,000. And the details of that are laid out on the website. But basically, we can take your logo and add copy and things. So we thank our existing small business sponsors. Right now, Shana Arnold and Grant Henry have been Roots of Chosewood members in 2023, and we're looking to sign up some more. And I hope everybody can attend. It's seriously such a good time. I've had such a great time every single time, every year so far. I think Connor can attest. It's like pretty awesome.
It's our favorite event of the year too. On the Samify side, we love it.
Yes, and it's going to be at Red's Beer Garden, which is always a super good time as well. And then on Sunday, May 28th, which is Memorial Day weekend, we're going to do some playground polishing again, so that the play set is ready for the summer season. As far as updates from us, we do have our community survey results back from TSW. We did a professional survey. We think it's statistically valid because we reached almost 90 people in a zip code of 900. So, I mean, not zip code, sorry, census tract of 900. And so I just wanted to share a little bit about what we found out. I know this is really small, but this is on our website as well for download, so you can go check it out, as well as if you follow us on Instagram. It turns out that what people really want to see improved in the park is our trail system, as well as new benches and tables. Playground is on there as well, drainage, grill, and basketball court resurfacing. Another priority obviously is gaining access to the park. And the main areas that people are concerned about are the Galt Street entrance and the Dalton Street entrance. And I have good news that we did speak with Atlanta Housing, and there will be an entrance off of Dalton Street once they complete their development. So that part will be great. What we need to focus on now, obviously, is the Galt Street side, which I've basically committed my life to for the last 3 years. So, or last 2 years, going on 3. Those are kind of the main things. Another thing is just what features people love about our park, and it's the natural areas and open spaces as well as the trails. So that was a good thing to affirm that you know, the main thing that people are really seeking is kind of the opportunity to be in nature, and to kind of, we can work on improving that in our park. So go ahead and check out the results if you want. There's a lot more to look at if you check out our website, but that will basically guide the way that we implement the 2011 visioning plan for the park. There was basically the community worked with Park Pride about a decade ago to come up with a vision for what we can do for park improvements. And this survey will help us kind of update and guide which of those improvements we should focus on and in what order. So as far as the Galt Street and Unity Bridge, we're still waiting to find out if the community was awarded a big grant that we applied for. And I did apply for CIE funding. That's, Nicole, what does that stand for again? It's basically how the city decides to spend impact fees for the next 5 years. So I applied for $250,000 for that project, and worked with Jason Winston to get approval from him to apply to use impact fees towards the design phase for the entrance. The next thing is our tennis court mural project, and I just want to bring that up really quick. So I would like to get feedback, if at all, on our mural design. Let's see. Okay, so this is, can everybody see that?
I can see it.
Yes.
Okay, so
Sorry,
this
I
is
was muted. Yes, yes.
this is the proposed design that we all voted on an artist at our last public meeting, Nyla Smith. She's done murals in EAB and elsewhere around the city. So this is the design she came back with after some feedback from the committee. It features a lot of trees, some maple leaves, some native flowers, like some asters over there, like were planted near there. There's a fox and then a big tree branch. So that's the proposed mural design kind of superimposed on the tennis court wall. And I just wanted to get any feedback about that. I think the committee thinks this is a good fit for the wall. And this will only be one section because we don't have the funds right now to do all of the walls, but we do hope to hire Nyla in the future to do sort of complementary work on the rest of the walls. So I just would like to get any feedback folks may have.
I love how colorful it is.
Yeah, that's one of her signature kind of things about her murals. And this is actually a little toned down, believe it or not.
And this is when you're walking down to, this is where exactly, yeah, this is when you're walking down, then you would take a
Walk
right to
down
get
the
in.
fields. Yeah, walking down
Yep.
the fields there.
And we kind of noted that we were actually thinking about doing the other wall first, but we noted that this is actually more visible from the parking lot. So it seemed like a more central place to start.
Is there, I'm not seeing anything in the chat. Is there any comments or anybody would like to throw out there regarding the mural, the beautiful, colorful mural?
No, I just think it's awesome. It looks really good and it's better than dirty green peeling paint.
Yeah, and that's another thing is public art came up as a top priority in our survey. So this kind of goes along with, which I didn't get to in my presentation of it, but if you look at the website, you can see that was something people were really interested in. So happy to kind of get onto that priority. That's kind of an easy lift for sure. All right. So having heard enough feedback and the committee likes it, I think we're going to go with it. And then, thanks to Shayna for contacting the city. We discovered that there had probably previously been bollards preventing people from driving their off-road vehicles onto the baseball field. And that had been a little bit of a problem last summer. So the city's gonna reinstall new bollards to protect the field. And I'll be meeting with Trees Atlanta to finalize our contract for kudzu removal on the east side of the park. That's it. Sorry, that was a lot.
No, that was great. I mean, this is so awesome. It's you're crushing it over there in the park. I want to trade jobs with you.
Yeah, I like being able to just focus on one thing.
Well, I know, but you guys are doing a great job. You're fighting hard. I think everybody, definitely throw some props out to Taryn here.
Yeah,
all of her hard work. This is great stuff, and this is really helping build connectivity through the neighborhood. So awesome job. Great job.
Yeah, my hope is one day I really just want us to be able to all walk from one side of the neighborhood to the other through the park, instead of on a state route or kind of going all the way around. So
well, I'm excited to go to the bird watching thing. I've got some new binoculars I'm ready to try out. So that's actually sounds pretty fun. I hate to say this, but I'd love to go now before we lose all the trees with Atlanta housing.
Yeah. Very true.
All right. Well, are there any questions for Taryn for the Friends of Chosewood Park Committee to benefit the body for this evening? Okay, Taryn. Well, great job. Awesome. Is there something in the chat there? Nope. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I just saw Laura's comment about putting the year. That's a great idea. We'll give her that feedback.
Yeah, I figured most artists usually sign the wall and do their year and date and stuff like that, right? I mean, that's pretty common. You're muted.
We'll make sure it gets done. Yeah, that's a great thing to just double check.
Okay. Well, we will move on to our next committee report. Thank you, Taryn. Next up is our Chosewood Park Community Development Committee. Nicole or Paul. I think Paul's on the line as well. Paul, you want to take the
No,
reins?
I just the hot, actually, I mean, Nicole's going to give us the details, but we talked about we have to complete some of our spending objectives from the Lakewood grant. So as a result, we talked about Earth Day activities and the movies on the green and the porch parties as ways to fulfill our funding. We also talked
Yes.
about the the uh, process to help people that are in need in Chosewood Park, and we reviewed a process, a SOP for doing that. And then I'd like to also tell people that we need another board member. We only have 6, so you can just if you'd like to be a board member of the Chosewood Park CDC, send Nicole or I an email about that. All right, so Nicole has all the details, so why don't you I'll pass it over to Nicole.
Thank you, Paul. Yeah, so like you said, we had our Q1 meeting on February 15th. We spoke about our screen on the green, which is our first screen on the green event that we'll be hosting. That will be April 14th. Because of the inability to play a projector outside in the daylight, it will start at 7:30. So I know it's a little later than what we had planned. However, we want to make sure it's the best event that we could throw with the funds that we have. We do need to still select a movie. So if you have any ideas on what you would like to watch, please keep it family friendly. But you can throw them in the chat or put them on Facebook or send them over to myself or anybody else on the committee. The board did initiate the process for our legacy assistance program. We're actually working with other communities as well to kind of find not, change some of our policies and make it structured a little bit better. So our guidelines and policy procedures will be shared during the April meeting to be voted on by the community as we are still working to finalize those. We do still have lawn bags for cleanup. So if you need any assistance in purchasing those, we have some available from our last year's events. So you can help clean up the sidewalks or your own yard. We have those. Just come and speak with Jacob or myself. For our LACFC grant, we will be planting flowers along Nolan, and we're also going to be cleaning up the Chosewood Park signs that are at the entrances of the neighborhood. Because the Beltline is going to be renovated in the next year or two, we chose not to focus on the signs that are next to the Beltline, just because we don't know if they will be taken down or moved, and so we don't want to put any permanent structures along them or anything that could be damaged. So we are going to be focusing on cleaning up around Sawtells, the neighborhood sign. I know there's a lot of trash there. There's no flowers or anything like that. So we're going to try to build that out a little bit better. Some of our upcoming events, we have our CPCDC meeting on our Q2 meeting is going to be April 19th, our Q3, July 19th, and Q4 is April 18th. I will share those on our website and I'll also drop them in the chat. We do have an upcoming porch party. It'll be with Maria Eiler, and that's off of Hill Street. We do need to discuss, though, whether or not we want to host that on the 15th or the 16th. Maria? Does the community or Maria have a preference on this? That's a Saturday and Sunday. Go ahead, Maria.
I think she's still on mute. Maria, you're still on mute.
Since Maria is not unmuted yet, Taryn.
I got it. I had to find it. I'm like, I don't know where it exists. It exists somewhere.
Yeah, sorry, it's at the bottom
Either
left
date,
corner.
not on my phone. It's not. I'm out of town.
Okay. Go ahead, Maria.
Yeah, either date is fine with me. I wanted the community to have a vote so we can have the best turnout. I know there's a lot of things going on for the month of April, so I'm flexible either way.
All right.
But
Taryn?
if everyone wants to put a chime in, we'll just go with the majority rules.
Oh, I was gonna say, Friends of Chosewood Park does have a cleanup day that on Saturday morning, and I like to do all of my community stuff on one day. I don't know if that's just me or if that's a majority opinion, but it'd be kind of fun to go do a little volunteering and then have a good time with neighbors afterward.
Yeah, do we want to do a vote, Jacob, on the 15th or the 16th?
I'm sorry. What was the vote was for?
Do we want to vote on our porch party being the 15th or the 16th?
What days are those? Is that a Saturday or a Sunday?
Saturday and Sunday, correct.
I don't see why not.
It's the April 15th or 16th.
Correct. And we do have a screen on the green on the 14th. So
And as Paul had mentioned, this is us trying to get rid of the funds from the grant. Is that what this is for?
It is, but it's also to, get with your neighbors and just have a nice community event where you're able to hang out and be a little more relaxed with one another. Alcohol is not provided by CPCDC, but they do reimburse for some food. So there's always going to be snacks, and I'm sure normally it's a BYOB kind of style.
It was part of the grant to support a porch party, so it's not just some random thing we're throwing money at. It was in the grant proposal, but we have to spend it because we can't apply in the first quarter because we still got money outstanding. So we want to spend it by, the end of the second quarter, so we can apply in June or July. So that's what the problem is at the moment. We haven't spent our money yet.
Burn a hole in our pocket.
Well, it's not, like it wasn't planned. We planned to do the things we're doing, but we just hadn't done them yet. So.
Well,
Jacob, you want to vote for us?
I just created the poll for us if we want to do it.
Perfect. Thank you, Ms. Secretary.
Let me know if you guys can see that.
Yep, that's visible. So the poll is for what day is our first porch party? This is a great poll. I can deal with these.
Taryn, what day is your event? Is it on the 15th or the 16th?
She said the 15th, I think, right?
Yes, she did.
Oh, so then maybe we should do the 16th.
Well, she was saying, making the point.
I was saying do them on the same day. I don't know. For me, I'm like, oh, it's a Chosewood day. I'll volunteer in the morning and then get to socialize later. That way it doesn't take up the whole.
Cool. I voted right then. All right. Is the poll completed?
I'll go ahead and end it because it's 11-2. So,
all right.
Okay.
All right. So it looks like our first porch party is going to be Saturday, April the 15th.
Yeah, so we will
Maria.
send out to everybody the information on times. So I'll get with Maria and arrange that information for everybody. Additionally,
I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead,
That
Maria.
is my question. What time would you all like this? Usually I know we do it in the evening, but are we, give you a good time that works for everybody ish? I'm guessing we want daylight.
Yeah.
Are we thinking 4-ish? Are we thinking 6-ish? So I don't know if that's something people want to just throw in the chat. So food for thought, because if I'm off for the day, I'm off for the day. So I'm pretty flexible.
Okay. Yeah, we can if feedback goes into the chat regarding this, and I guess we will I see one at 5 p.m. So yeah, I agree. Something where there's a little bit of light still out. The good news is we daylight savings time. We lost an hour today, but we get a little bit extra time to party with the neighbors. So yeah, if you just want to put the information in the chat, and then we can finalize it and add it to our event calendar for the neighborhood.
Thank you. Couple more things, and then I'm done. We are in the process of making some new community engagement signs. Those are signs that go up during the week before our meetings. They'll have QR codes on them. So we are gonna place them up and leave them up in strategic locations. This will allow people that drive by to also scan them if they want to stop and get a shot of it. Hopefully people that are walking around our neighborhoods are able to scan them as well, and we might be able to get a little more community participation. As Taryn said, our Improving Disproportionately Impacted Neighborhoods grant has not, we haven't yielded any results. So we're still waiting for the state to decide on who they are awarding grant funds to. We do know that they have not picked anybody specific or closed that out yet. So we're still in the running as it is now. We will be taking time to consider our next LACFC grant over the next few months. That way we can apply, I believe it's June or July, for the next grant and close out the current grant. One of the ideas that came up during our CPCC meeting was to include additional trash cans, since some of ours have been damaged over the last couple years. So as we continue with our conversation with the neighborhood, I definitely want to have some input from the community so that CPCDC is submitting the appropriate grant for what the community wants and needs. We can vote on this at a later time, but just wanted to kind of put that little idea in your head to think about what you would like to see us get some funds for. Are there any questions?
Any questions for our CDC members for the benefit of the body? Trash cans are a great idea, by the way. We could use some on Inglewood. Maybe the Upton would help facilitate those for keeping our road shut down for a month.
Good idea.
That's a great idea. Thank you.
I mean, if the production companies can give us a heads up and let us know 2 weeks in advance when they're closing a road for 2 days, it'd be nice if the developers could do the same thing. So, okay. Well, no questions then, Paul or Nicole. So thank you for your time. Thank you, CDC. Moving on to our next agenda item is our Transportation Committee. Julie, you're here, right? Yep, I see you there.
I am here. I don't have nearly that much information, y'all. I think that we all noticed that the light at Inglewood has not been on the same timer. I saw multiple people notified the city, so that's cool that we're all on there. I went to the Vision Zero meeting. I think maybe Jacob and Nicole, you attended that. I wasn't super impressed, but at least it's a step in the right direction, and Atlanta is aware. We still have a lot of people running stop signs. Jacob, and no, I'm just teasing. No, we
Julie.
no, like legit, like running stop signs, like it's a goal on Hill Street. So I don't think the stop signs are 100%, what we need. I think we need a lot of things added to our neighborhood to make it more, pedestrian and bicyclist or cyclist friendly. But I'm still striving and moving in the right direction, I believe. But if y'all, I don't know, Nicole, you went to a meeting that I wasn't able to attend, so maybe you have some information, but that's really it, y'all. It's Atlanta. I'm at least getting email addresses to people, so that I feel like
it's a step. It's a step in the right direction for sure.
Definitely baby steps, it's very humbling, but I'll get there. We'll get there, y'all. I am gonna chime in because I'm not able to stay through the whole thing, and I appreciate, but I know some people on here may not have kids, some people may have children. The APS, which is not, it doesn't really seem to be supported by the schools themselves or a lot of the people who showed up. But I would highly recommend people voicing their opinion on the matter, because it's for people who do have children and for the cohesion of our neighborhood and being able to walk through the park to school or to, Benteen or anything like that. it's a really important subject. So I'm not going to be able to stay on much longer, but I saw that y'all are going to add it to the end, and I appreciate it. And I got the Board of Education's contact information, so I'll put that in the chat. So
Yeah,
you
and
know,
thank you, Julie, for bringing that up, because I would have stopped you there, but that definitely plays. Bus routes are a part of this, and this is a big part of our Chosewood Park comprehensive development plan with connectivity, safe pedestrian pathways, and as we had discussed, earlier talking about this particular matter, the kids being able to walk to school.
well, yeah. And right now they have people going over the railroad tracks at Hank Aaron, and we all know how inconvenienced those railroad tracks are because we didn't have our bridge. But on top of that, they would have people making a left on Prior at like peak traffic hour, which doesn't even have a protected turn signal. It's just not. I think Nicole mentioned how they're trying to get the kids at Slater sidewalks for the kids that are zoned for the school, let alone kids that aren't zoned to have them start going there. Anyways, there's a lot of information. I'm happy to let people know what I do. I know it's not that time of the meeting, but I'm not going to be here for that part. But I will put the contact information for Katie Howard, who is on the Board of Education for District 1, and she was at one of the in-person meeting. So y'all can email her, voice your concerns or your opinions. And hopefully this works in our favor and they stop marginalizing our neighborhood and other neighborhoods like ours. So
we have a couple questions for you, Julie, before you got to get out of here. But I mean, the school part and the redistricting definitely plays a part of the transportation committee. So we appreciate you following up that. So Paul's got his hand raised. Paul, you have the floor.
I just noticed that since the bridge is open, I see a lot of the public works people going down Grant Street. I mean, maybe they've always been doing it, but just, I can look out my kitchen window on Eric Street and see all the way over the hill to Grant Street, and I see every time I go and look there, I see a public works truck going up Grant Street.
Their entrance is there, and they do that all day. Remember, their entrance is over at the Inglewood.
Yeah, I know, but I thought it seemed like it was because we used to complain about that a lot, and they had a policy to tell the people not to go down Grant Street. But I guess whoever was directing that policy isn't doing it anymore.
Yeah, there's that, Paul, and then there's also the developments that are going on. We have the detours, and so the heavy traffic, and I know you see it on your street as well. We've had complaints with the Galt Park, Federal, where the construction trucks all day long are removing soil. So they're dump trucks, they're heavy loads, along with the equipment. So it's pretty prevalent right now throughout the neighborhood.
Yeah, well, it's just that they seem to be public works trucks. They aren't the construction trucks, in my opinion. But
okay,
and they were supposed to not take Grant Street. The other guys, well, they'll be here for a while and they'll be gone. But the public works may always be with us.
If it's been more recently, it's partly because Inglewood is closed, and so they have to come around, go up Boulevard, come down McDonough, take a right onto Grant, as compared to taking a right on Hill Street.
Well, when was it closed? I guess I don't,
it's been about almost a full month now. It's over 3 weeks.
Retraining.
Wow. Well, I guess I don't get out at all, but I swear I've been up Inglewood. The last couple of weeks. You usually if I go to Kroger, I come back that way.
Yeah, they open up during the weekends. They open it up for both lanes of travel, but during the week, usually from Monday through Saturday, the Upton has had it closed. Yeah, to run their gas lines and their stormwater collection lines. Was that your question there, Paul? Or
yeah, well, I just want to know if people were, that used to be a big issue, and we sort of had it worked out, but we've had a change in council person and probably management up there, and it just seemed that from what I could see, they're public works trucks, but I'm looking across a couple of streets to do it, but there's no one on Grant Street that's has noticed an increased traffic, but it seems like not at this meeting, so I guess it's not important. Not as important as I was thinking it would be.
Well, you're not the only person to raise this concern, Paul. Not just necessarily with the Department of Works vehicles, but I think that we can all see that the heavy equipment that's coming in and out of the neighborhood has taken its toll on all of the streets. Boulevard running all the way up to 20. McDonough is starting to get pretty beat up now. These side streets that aren't used to that type of heavy equipment, these are hundreds of thousands of pounds, some of these pieces of equipment. So I see it as a problem. So the only recommendation I could say for that would be continue to have and talk to other neighbors that have issues with it, and let's make requests with the city. I know that I've personally done them. So I guess the louder our voice is, the better off we would be. Nicole, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, Julie said, that I did go to an additional meeting that was for transportation, and we talked about some of the issues that are going on, and it was voiced how Buckhead is able to get renovations and new mulch, things like that, but we can't have sidewalks and roads. So we are trying to work with our city representatives and with ATL in order to push some of our concerns for our area. They are working on their communication with GDOT. As we know, GDOT is really hard to work with. Any state routes, which McDonough is, have to be maintained by them, and so we can't touch them at all, which makes it hard for the city to make any changes or renovations when we ask. Also, when it comes to street lights, all street lights now, no matter what style they are ran by Georgia Power. So if there are any issues or any areas where you see that need additional street lights, we're able to submit a request for that now. That was it.
Yeah, and I wasn't the term, I believe, was Vision Zero. Is that what it was for that DOT meeting?
No, that's another meeting. So Vision Zero was about safety in the communities and safety on our roads. So Atlanta is pushing to do a zero fatality agenda, and they're looking building their structure around how they would do that. It's probably going to be a 10-year process, but part of that is building out different roads to have safe transportation for pedestrians and drivers. So that means wider sidewalks, that means to have bike lanes, that means to have wider lanes, so maybe even less lanes, but to give that option to have a safer lane that you could drive in if somebody was walking on the side of the road. But the biggest thing is to increase our public transportation option of walkability for pedestrians.
Yeah, and I think that this is kind of goes hand in hand with things like APS, goes hand in hand with things like our parks and our connectivity for the neighborhood as a whole. So this is I was under the impression that there was a survey that could be filled out for this to take feedback for looking into obviously feedback from the neighborhood. That's how they've transitioned and gotten these things, because they do ask prior to, they like to do these types of surveys where is this street better with 2 lanes of travel or 1 lane of travel with a full bike lane and a larger sidewalk, or is this location better with 2 lanes of travel? And we have that opportunity specifically in the neighborhood right now when it comes to McDonough, which is a state route. But we have had this conversation with our state representatives from 62, District 62 and District 59, Phil, and is it Shayna, the 2 district members, regarding the state route. And we also did have that conversation with the warden, the new warden at the state penitentiary there. So it is on the radar as far as trying to facilitate these, developers to be a part of the impact process. Taryn has been working very hard with the Parks Department and the adjacent developers there to help with the connectivity between the developments and also using the park as a center point for our neighborhood. So the more that we can get the information out, if you guys, I don't know if any of this is on our webpage, but if we could put this on the webpage, that would be great, where people can voice their concerns and put their, whatever their thoughts are regarding the transportation stuff on there. Okay. Nicole, you can lower your hand there. I don't think I'm able to. Let's move on to our next agenda item. That would be it for our committee reports. Thank you, guys. Thank you, CDC. We do not have any voting matters tonight, which will help expedite this meeting. Our old business, let's see. We have no old business, but we do have a new business, and I do see Larry is on the call. So this is for our Beltline, the Beltline canvassing and the community input. So I'm going to turn the floor over to Mr. Silver.
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. Hi. My name is Larry Silver. I work with the Atlanta Beltline Partnership, and I want to thank Nicole for inviting me. Y'all look like a very fun group. You're very cool, actually. I was listening to your, all the things you're doing, and it sounds very interesting. The reason I'm coming to your meeting is you're the first. You're the first neighborhood, so you're real special. We're doing this as a courtesy. We want to let you know exactly what we're planning to do. So the Atlanta Beltline has a grant contract with Rocket Community Fund, which is affiliated with Rocket Community Mortgage. I'm sure you've heard of them. And the idea behind this is to canvass in neighborhoods along the Beltline that are impacted as far as at high risk of displacement, increasing rents, taxes, etc. So how it works is we are going to have 10 neighborhoods, the Beltline, and then the Partnership for Southern Equity, which is another nonprofit in Atlanta, is going to have another 10 neighborhoods. So Chosewood Park is one of our neighborhoods. We do not have an exact schedule when we will come to your neighborhood, but we've starting now in Grove Park. These neighborhoods are south and southwest along the Beltline. And there's really two things we're doing. One is we're going to have a survey, a questionnaire that is going to be asked of both renters and homeowners. So we have this software. We know all the properties. It gives us the location, etc. And on our smartphones, we're going to be asking a series of questions on how the Beltline has been affecting whether you're a homeowner or a renter. So it could be questions on mortgages, questions on property tax. There'll be some common questions on use of internet, on conditions of housing. We hope to then compile this information and kind of see trends in what's really happening in these neighborhoods to sort of affect policy change. We're hoping maybe to look at increasing homestead exemptions, assistance for rents, things like that. I don't know how that's going to look at this point, but we're initially collecting this information. So what you'll see are our canvassers wearing yellow vests. So be nice to them. And it's neighbor to neighbor. That's the name of the project. So they'll be in pairs coming to houses near you and asking these questions But in addition, we will have information. And that information includes the neighbor to neighbor website. So each person will have an QR code on their neck that the person can scan to get additional information on the neighbor to neighbor site. And that connects to both Partnership to Southern Equity and the Beltline. And there's all kind of homeowner resources and renter resources and information on home repair. So they'll be able to get information in addition to us collecting this. This will run through probably June. So I can't give you an exact, date when we'll be in Chosewood Park, but you'll see us. And like I said, we'll be clearly labeled and we'll be going to all the houses and trying to get as much information from residents and having them complete the survey. If for some reason it's not a good time, we can come back. If people are not home, we will come back. This is kind of what we want to do. We want to really hit your neighborhood and get as many residents as possible. It's been done before in the Midwest. This is the first time that Rocket is entering Atlanta. Now, we also have, I don't know if you're familiar with the Legacy Retention Program. It's called the Legacy Resident Retention Program. There will be a sheet handed out that talks about that, and that gives residents who are eligible the ability to have their increase in taxes handled and paid for up till 2030. And that's basically it.
Well, that
So
sounds
if you have any questions.
Yeah, that sounds exciting.
It's kind of cool,
yeah,
actually.
You have a couple questions here. Laura, you have the floor.
Yeah, just a really quick question. So, in a neighborhood like Chosewood, we've already seen some displacement because of that. Well, probably
Right.
lots of reasons. I guess, how are you guys collecting data on those people who've been displaced already?
We're not. This is totally focused in on residents. So what we have is we have software that identifies all the property. I cannot talk to that. That's not something we're addressing under this project for those who've already been displaced. However, we hope to identify through these questions people who may be at risk or are having challenges.
Laura, just to speak to that one real quick, I've heard, I know of a few individuals, a few cases of that where legacy residents have been displaced based on either tax bills or water bills or things like this. If you want to have that conversation offline, I believe that we do have a legacy retention committee that we are trying to start for Chosewood Park. Miss Duval would be our point of contact. Is that correct, Nicole?
She is working on our CBAs, but she's also going to assist with our legacy assistance program. So we changed the name to make sure that we don't have a crossover between the legacy retention program that is through the Beltline and the legacy assistance program that is through CPCDC.
Gotcha.
Thanks, Jake.
Yeah, no problem, Laura. I can send you that information offline. I don't have that on me, but I will get you in touch with the Stuvals. They're over. Mr. Stuval he's been a long-term resident here. I think he's one of our longest legacy residents. Over, I want to say he's on Park Avenue or something like that. But I'll get you that information, Laura. Nicole, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I want to thank Larry for coming out. I really appreciate this program and reaching out to the residents. The question I have is around the legacy retention program. Originally, the layout that I saw, I believe it was last year, did not include Chosewood Park as eligible to participate. Has that changed?
Really? That's a good question. I'd have to get back to you, Nicole. I don't know. I'm looking at the map. There's a map. It's what you can do. I don't know if this has been revised, but I can get back to you on that. So you're telling me that Chosewood Park was not within the area, right? Is that what you're saying?
No, yeah, correct. So it did not include us, and that's because it grouped us in with Grant Park, which Grant Park,
Oh,
their AMI is much higher than ours. We're actually
correct.
lower in the area, and however, we were excluded. So I'm not sure if
Yeah.
maybe we're still excluded, if there's an opportunity for us to change that.
Let me get back to you.
Thank you.
Okay. I will. By the way, that AMI, yeah, that's a good point about how your AMI is skewed because you're with another neighborhood. That's a pet peeve of mine, but that's another discussion. We won't
That's
go there.
that's a whole nother deal right there.
That's a whole nother world. Yeah, don't
Yeah.
even.
I believe Taryn had the same question, but she has her hand raised again. So Taryn, you want to take the floor?
Oh, I was just gonna comment that, if we went by census tract or by zip code, I don't think we would have been excluded, but the Beltline communities are actually organized differently than both of those, so
Right.
somehow we.
Let me find out because you know what? You may start something. I'm a little bit of a troublemaker, so I may say, well, what about other communities? Because we have 10 communities, and I can't say that the residents are eligible for this LRRP. So let me do a little
I think
digging
that's
here.
right. They told us that it was some sort of analysis of like highest population of, obviously the way they were grouped was the way they were grouped. But my understanding is there's a lot of like, neighborhoods who would probably benefit that were excluded just because of limited funds in the program. So it was a good meeting we had, but yeah, we were disappointed that
All
it's not.
right. Let me check and see if it's been changed. I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I'm happy to hear if you could stir the pot a little
Oh,
bit.
you don't know me. When I'm passionate about something, I'm like a pit bull. It's like I'll let go after a point, but you know how pit bulls are. You gotta use up. I don't know what to get them up.
Capacity. Are there any more questions for Mr. Silver? And thank you for coming out tonight. We really appreciate this. This is, being able to have a voice heard. I feel like Chosewood Park has kind of been the quiet little, neighborhood south of Grant Park,
Right.
and
I
just
noticed that.
walk in the mix. And now we are on the radar for not only developers, but city officials seem to be paying attention to us a little bit more.
Sure.
And so it is nice to have you come out and
Yeah.
help us have a little bit louder voice.
It's my pleasure. I did send Nicole, I don't know if you received 2 attachments to the email that you originally sent me because you said send attachments. Did you see them?
Nicole,
Hello?
you're muted.
I was moving things around. I have not had a chance to look at them.
All right.
We'll
Well,
share them with the community.
share them because one is for the the legacy retention, which if it's not your neighborhood, it's not very helpful. But the other one is the neighbor to neighbor, and there's a QR code on it. But you could also see resources out there, and those are what we're going to make sure people get when we do our canvassing.
Yeah, we'll share those on our social media and also on our website.
That'd be great. Yeah, and it's really been a pleasure. I really enjoyed meeting y'all.
Yeah, thank you for coming, Larry. We appreciate it.
And
Thanks
good
for
luck with
coming.
everything. Yeah, good luck. I hope everything goes well in your neighborhood.
Thank you. We're trying to move in that direction.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay. Well, that was our new business for this evening. And next on our agenda items are our closing statements, announcements, community concerns, and questions. So I know the screen in the green is there, but I do know that we should go ahead. We still have 18 participants on. So let's bring up the hot topic here, the big boy, the APS redistricting. We've brought it up a little bit prior to this. I believe Nicole, or maybe it was you, Connor, that shared this information and stuff on the social media page, and I think it's on the website too.
I didn't share it.
Nicole must have then, I think.
Monique did. She was under Troy's login. She shared a link. I'm also dropping a link to our community engagement event that was in person so that we can see what the feedback was. Monique is actually on the call if
Yeah, Monique and Troy are both on. Monique, I will give you the floor, or Troy, whichever one.
Hey, Troy is doing stuff.
Hey,
Um,
Monique.
I took his phone. I am Monique Nunnally. I'm the Education Committee Chair for MPUY, and we in our Education Committee meeting a few minutes ago, Nicole had to hop off to jump onto this, so she wasn't there. So I wanted to run over here and ask this question. We would like to hear from you. So what's happening right now is, and I have my quarterly meeting today with Dr. Herring. And we have quarterly meetings to talk about our community and education. And I talked with her today a little bit about the the reasoning for this scenario that her facilities team has come up with, which would redistrict some of Chosewood Park from Benteen Elementary School into the Carver cluster. I don't know if you know, but I've been advocating very heavily for the past 5 years at least to ensure that the Carver cluster has academic programming, career pathways, rigorous course offerings, enrichment experiences, um, and a number of other opportunities for young people in our neighborhood. However, a lot of that hasn't materialized, and in its absence, it drove enrollment down, as well as housing and other issues that plague our enrollment. And so, what they're trying to do is replenish the enrollment with pulling people from different neighborhoods. And I personally just don't agree with the tactics. But they are saying it's just in conversation. It is nothing in stone. They are just engaging the community. I think it might be a little bit more to that because we do have a partner operator that does need per pupil costs. And when per pupil numbers are down, that means that revenue is down. And they really don't have a whole lot of ways to make up that gap and deficit. So I think this is a part of that strategy to support them in their enrollment. And so that's just my 2 cents. But what we are here to ask you today, our committee wants to share with the general body this proposal, the scenarios, and we wanted the MPU to weigh in with a position that we could then share with Superintendent Herring and her facilities committee as a joint letter of either support or denial of this scenario, right, or rejection of this scenario. And so I wanted to have the conversation with you all as the education committee chair to get your opinion and perspective, and then write up something that we send to facilities and the COO, Mr. Larry Hoskins, who's somewhat, very much so integral in this decision making, and other APS officials. Because purposeful school doesn't have anything to do with the zoning technically. So this correspondence would need to go directly to APS. So I wanted to get your opinions on should we bring it to the general body to make a formal resolution of our position.
Okay. Well, thank you, Monique. And if you want to put your information in the chat there, I think you did, didn't you? That way we can have people reach out to you. I think, yeah. Is that the review? Yeah, there's the review. I am not. I'm familiar with it. Thank you, Monique. Redistricting and rezoning. There's a lot of things that are happening in the neighborhood that would cause these types of actions to be taken by APS. Whether it's the growth that we have in the neighborhood between the new developments, new residencies, and then obviously dealing with the APS issues of trying to fill these schools that have low retention, or not retention but low occupancy levels. So this is something that I think all individuals that have a concern, have a leg in the game, have kids, moved here to be in the school district, should chime in and put their information out there, and hopefully putting your voice out there can go one way or another. The school board definitely needs input, and without input, they just kind of do what they want. So you definitely have to go out and voice your opinion, whether you're in favor or in opposition. So Monique has added her information into the chat if anybody wants to speak with her directly. I know Nicole has been on a few of these meetings. I know that I've had multiple neighborhood or residents reach out to us regarding this particular issue. And I do see in the chat, Taryn is a summary of the information that she's looking for. Yeah, if you want to reach out to Monique there, Taryn. So if there's anybody that wants to add anything to this APS or speak to this, please. And now,
Sure, I'll take a crack at it.
Yeah, Matt, you got the floor. Go ahead.
I've both the digital and the in-person. I've spoken with a number of parents, both from Benteen and from other schools within the cluster. No one I've spoken to has voiced any sort of support for this whatsoever. I saw today that the APS put out results of, I guess, their poll, and they claim that 14% of stakeholders supported it. Of 14% of the people who voted. So I don't know if that's parents or who that includes, but 14% of the vote was apparently in favor. In those meetings, I've heard no one who was in support of it, though. So candidly, I don't really believe that 14%. But certainly, no one I've spoken with believes that that option 2 should be even promulgated at this point. The consensus has been that APS has failed to do their due diligence on option 1, which would involve a residency verification audit, as well as some other steps, some most notably, plans for some sort of additional capacity, like trailers or something of that sort. But the consensus from what I've heard is that everyone's pretty upset that this plan was even promulgated without without APS or the cluster having done anything to even begin a heightened audit of the residency verification. So from what I've heard, the consensus has been that they should go through with a full audit first and essentially exhaust all resources before even coming back to the table with option 2.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for laying that out there, Matt, because I know that there's some people on the call here that aren't aware of exactly what's going on, and there are the 2 options. There is a procedure that APS does follow. So I see that Nicole, you have your hand raised. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I've put on the MPU chair hat here and just kind of fill everybody in a little bit more. Monique did add the link to the scenarios. These are just scenarios at this time. There is no decision that will be made without the community through the MPU. So that process will take a little bit of time, and this isn't for next year. This is for the following year. So as we go through this is 2024 to 2025 school year. So we do have at least a little bit of time, but don't take that for granted as we discuss this as a community of what the community wants and what would benefit the community. I know that as a personal opinion, I don't have kids, but I do know that the education system for Benteen Elementary School and that Jackson cluster is right now set up better than what the Jackson cluster is with their programming. and the concern of transferring children over. However, we do have to also look at all of the potential residents that are going to be moving into Chosewood Park and how that would affect the schools as well, and whether or not that would diminish the quality of education for children in our neighborhoods.
You just confused everybody. I'm totally kidding. Jackson cluster and Jackson cluster. They're the same.
Carver cluster and Jackson
Carver
cluster.
cluster, Jackson cluster. Okay. All right. Thank you, Nicole. Paul, you have your hand raised.
Yes, I just want to say that what I can see about the analysis of capacities, it's that the elementary schools, to me, existing elementary schools do not contribute to the capacity problems with the Jackson cluster. It has to do with all the charter schools that are sending kids there. And, even if they make the shift on the elementary school level from, bringing Boulevard Heights and so forth, the capacity of Benteen is still going to be like maybe 50%, even if we don't send them to Slater. So the main reason, well, first of all, people have gone from Chosewood Park have gone over to Benteen for almost 100 years, and they want to change that. And the reason why people are going to Benteen is because of the dual language program and allowing people to pick up be bilingual, and they just don't have that over at Slater and Carver, really. So I really want them to do an audit of the people that are currently going to Carver, because I think it could be as many as 150. If you noticed recently over in Fulton County, Westlake High School, they found over 350 people at Westlake High School going there that were coming outside of the attendance district. So it's not inconceivable that's the same thing going on at Jackson. So I'm definitely opposed to the move. So
Okay. Well, thank you, Paul. Monique, are you asking if we would like to have a joint resolution so that we can share a comment with APS? Is this something we would like to vote on tonight? Is that what she's asking? Or is it?
Yes, that's what Troy. So when Nicole left, Troy came on for 10 minutes and he made the motion. And so I told him, well, we need to go to your meeting now to ask the question. And if you guys need to delay it for 6 months, that's okay. I just wanted to bring it to y'all's attention that it would be great to just have a resolution prepared. All of the PTAs had a resolution prepared, which was pretty great to see and hear at both the in-person and online meeting and the board meeting. And so it definitely added a polished look to the opinion. Yes, everybody's seeing your independent feedback, but to have a joint resolution with the position of the community really goes a long way. Dr. Herring even mentioned to me today that the joint, the support of the MPU really for the Lakewood Elementary situation was even important. So it does mean that it does signal something to the administration. Now I don't know what that means, but she did mention it to me today that she heard our support of this particular thing, as a community. And that went a long way. So I'm not sure next steps get into that because that ain't my business. But we did talk a bit about this, and it made me think: could we have, more in our position and advocacy if it was a joint letter from the official, or organization that deals in the social element in the community. So if you guys want to, don't let me rush you. If you want to take a vote now, I think that would be great. If you say no, it needs to wait till next month, then we'll hold off to next month. I don't know the timeline because the facility did not get
the APS is going to make a decision before spring break. Spring break starts on March 30th, so it's going to happen in the next 2 weeks. So we need to vote tonight.
So because it wasn't on our agenda, I don't know that we can vote. However, we could do a special meeting. Robert's Rules of Order, we would actually need a 2/3 vote just to even do anything addition with this.
Well,
So I
Nicole,
don't
did
know.
you see Taryn's comments?
Yeah, I did. And should we make a motion to have a special meeting for this?
So what we can do for Robert's Rules of Order is we can either motion to vote, it needs a 2/3 vote in order to approve it, even discussing, as a community to vote. Or we can do a special meeting. I think that we have a lot of people that aren't here that have children. But I do agree with having something set up where we can move forward this week.
Taryn, I'm not sure if you're an expert in the Robert Rules of Orders, but Taryn is stating that it is not barred under Robert's Rules of Order. I don't have my book in front of me. And I wasn't sure if it could be made as a motion. The meeting hasn't been adjourned yet.
I don't have my book in front of me either. I'm trying to research that, but I mean, I think people can make a motion or offer resolution
I mean,
if we voted on.
So anything
We can
that's
make a
not
motion and
agenda-
vote on it. If it's not valid, it's not valid, but we don't lose anything for making a motion and taking the vote. If it's not valid and we come back and strike it later, oh well. But I mean, we might as well at least take a vote, valid or not, and then see if we can squeeze it through under the rules.
Okay. I am agreeance with this. Do I have anybody that is not in agreement with making a motion this evening? Okay.
I'll go ahead and do it. I move to I resolve. I think we should sorry, let me try this again. Let's make a resolution to oppose APS's rezoning option to send to NPUI.
All right. Can I get a second from that motion?
A second.
All right. Seconded by Matt Abernathy. I think it was either you or Connor.
Both, I think.
So the motion on the floor is to send a
it's in support of option one.
In support of option one. Okay, so should we say it as that, or should we leave it as the motion of a joint resolution to oppose? That was what Taryn had said.
She would have to amend it because there are two scenarios.
Okay.
And it's
I'll go.
Scenario 1 is the non-rezoning, which you can see on the screen, and scenario 2, which is rezoning option. So just
should we put
to zoning and non-zoning?
Should we put those as the two choices, as scenario 1 and scenario 2 is the multiple choice?
Taryn, you made the motion, so.
Oh yeah. Okay. So okay, we can, if that's okay, edit that to just say let's do a resolution in favor of option 1 to send to NPY.
All right. Do I have a second?
Second
by Matt Abernathy. All right, there's our poll, Mr. Secretary.
All right, so how am I wording this real quick? So are we?
The motion is to to vote on option 1 or 2 to send as a letter for a resolution to NPUI.
Okay, so hold on, so which?
Scenario 1 being in opposition, scenario 2 being in favor.
Yeah, so the answer choices will be scenario 1.
I mean, wait a minute. Scenario 1 says we want them to take a survey of their current students at Jackson and see if some of them, to what extent their people out of the attendance area. That's option one. Option two, I believe Taryn already said this, is that they're going to rezone. Okay. The first option is no rezoning, check for people out of the attendance area. Option two is rezone. So,
Correct. That's correct.
all right, so that's basically it.
Okay.
So,
All right. So are we ready for the poll?
Well, I'm trying to sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to word the question. I've got scenario 1 and scenario 2, but would we say I agree or
Can you set it up so you just vote scenario 1 or scenario 2?
Yeah, that would probably.
okay, please check. Please choose scenario 1 or scenario 2.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, y'all.
No, you're fine.
Okay.
All
And
right.
here, give it just a second. There
So
we
the
go.
motion on the floor is to please pick one of the scenarios. Scenario 1 would be non-rezoning and opposition of the rezoning or redistricting. Scenario 2 would be in favor. So please complete the poll and we will leave it open for another 20, 30 seconds. We have 17 people still in the meeting.
And if you have somebody, I guess, and in your household, I don't know that it's going to matter. We've got 11. I see that, Suzanne. Thank you.
We have a +1 from Chris on Climax and a +1 from Matt on Grant Street.
Perfect.
All right, let's close out the poll.
That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 16 for scenario 1 and 0 for scenario 2.
All right, and so these this will be sent over to the MPU. I'm not sure if the other neighborhoods are doing this as well. I'm sure Monique is probably on top of that. But we will send this information. Wow, that's unanimous. Okay. Yeah, as Matt had spoken earlier.
Y'all are only
all right.
Y'all are the only MPUY neighborhood that is impacted. There's no other MPUY neighborhood that's impacted. Just you.
Okay.
So that's why we had to come to you, because you're the only MPUY. I'm sorry. Troy told me to raise my hand. I'm sorry. But you guys are the only ones. So thank you so much for your time. And I'll raise my hand next time. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you, Monique.
Thank you. Y'all have a good night.
Thank you.
All right. Then we will move on to our last agenda item, which is still obviously the closing statements, any kind of announcements or any questions, comments, or concerns anybody would like to make.
Were we trying to pick a movie for Screen on the Green tonight, or?
I don't know. I want to see Dumb and Dumber or Lion King. I'm just throwing those two out there. Family
That
friendly.
was the plan. That's why it was on the agenda, was to actually select a movie so we can, because I don't even know if we can go just to a quick store and pick up a movie. We might need to order this and have it shipped. So I want to make sure that we have time. So we just need some options that are family friendly. The provider that we have for our Screen the Green event is bringing the blow up screen, and they're also going to have a DVD player, DVD Blu-ray player. I see Princess and the Bride, Goonies, Dumb and Dumber, Soul. I love Soul. Soul looks like a good one.
Yeah, Soul was a good one. That was a good one, Matt.
We definitely want it to be family friendly. So just when you're making your considerations, think about, a child sitting next to you watching it.
You want to hear the most annoying sound in the world? Dumb and Dumber, man. Those great quotes. I'm gonna lose that one, but that's okay. I'm fine.
Yeah, that one's lost. Any other input from anybody else? Well, I heard soul the most, so we'll continue on with
Is
some
that the one where the guy comes back as the trumpet or he's a jazz player? Is that what that one is?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. That's
We
a Disney, right?
are we
That
do we
Disney one?
hear we sure we did we talk about the Goonies though? Or the classic.
Oh, listen, I would 100% with Goonies for sure. Spoilers? Is that actually a movie, or is that Laura just getting on to us?
That's Laura getting on you for saying to the guy.
That's Chris.
Well, that was it for me. That's it. The rest of that one. So we'll keep up the poll online and introduce Soul into it, and we'll make a decision here soon.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Nicole. Okay, guys. Well, good meeting. If I don't have any objections to, if there's no more comments, questions, or concerns for the committee or for the community, I'm going to go ahead and adjourn the meeting at 8:30. Oh man, we ran in it tonight. Okay, we're doing pretty good. We're doing pretty good these days. All right. Well, meeting adjourned at 8:30.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Good night.
Night, guys.
Night, everybody. Thank you.
Night, Taryn.